What I'm doing like right now? Okay. Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm a senior biology and history double major, and right now I'm in lab looking at legless lizards and snakes and other kinds of lizards. We learn about these traits in the lectures, but there's only so much a picture can do, so getting to actually like handle the specimens makes it really tangible for some of these things. Like, we know that snakes don't have ears, but legless lizards do, which is something that you can remember that, but it's a lot easier when you're able to pick up a legless lizard and look for its ears as an identifying factor.
My name's Carmelina. I'm a junior biology major.
So was this fascinating? Is this confusing?
No, this is super cool because like most of these animals are like things I've never seen before, or like obviously haven't gotten like to touch or like interact with at all. So it's really cool to like be able to see animals that like I never would have gotten to see before.
Kevin Buck, junior environmental science.
Okay, what are you doing?
We're looking at some snakes for lab right now, and distinguishing features between them and learning about the different groups. I'm not a big snake guy, but I'm learning a lot.
Welcome to Joanna Larson's Biology Lab. Assistant professor of the practice in the Department of Biological Sciences, Larson immerses students in hands-on learning. Today, they're working with specimens of lizards, snakes, and turtles from the Museum of Biodiversity inside the Jordan Hall of Science at the University of Notre Dame. And while this on-campus class brings lecture topics to life for her students, Professor Larson knows personally the power of off-campus learning as well.
So when I started undergrad, I was going to be pre-law. I had my life mapped out as an environmental lawyer protecting the planet and all of that. And then my spring of freshman year, I enrolled in a class called herpetology, which is the study of amphibians and reptiles. I'd always loved frogs. I grew up catching them in the pond, kissing lots of frogs. None turned into a prince. But I didn't realize you could study amphibians as a career. So this was really eye-opening to me. Part of that class, we went on a spring break field trip to Costa Rica. And that introduced me to tropical environments that I had never experienced before and exposed me to what tropical field research on amphibians would look like. I just fell in love. After that, I started volunteering in the Natural History Museum at my undergraduate institution, did research all throughout the rest of my undergrad career, and realized that I would like to go into graduate school instead of law school.
It was the inspiration for Larson's more recent trip to the jungles of Costa Rica, this time in the role of professor.
Yeah, so I had such a memorable experience as an undergrad going to Costa Rica that I wanted Notre Dame undergraduates to have the same kinds of opportunities. And right now, we really don't have many of those types of classes within the biological sciences department. So thankfully, the department did support my goal of bringing students somewhere like Costa Rica. And we pulled that off this year. So 6 students, myself and another employee of Notre Dame, went down to Costa Rica for a week. We visited 4 different locations that were in different biomes. So students got to experience different ecosystems and then the different kinds of animals and plants in each place.
I'd never been to the jungle before, and seeing the biodiversity down there was really interesting. I saw a lot of types of animals I've never seen before, like crocodiles and a bunch of snakes and stuff. And I do plant research, so to see different types of forest and what lives in there compared to what's up here is like interesting for me to compare as a scientist and what I'm used to.
Kevin Buck is a junior majoring in environmental science. He plans to put both his experience in Costa Rica and in today's lab class into practice after his time at Notre Dame.
Yes. I'm hoping for a career in wildlife biology, so seeing it in real life is helpful so that I know what I encounter when I'm in the field. And I'm also a hands-on learner, so I'd rather look at it rather than just read it off of a slide.
That was certainly the experience in Costa Rica. With an inherent diversity of habitats, Professor Larson was able to expose her students to multiple ecosystems all in one place.
Yeah, so Costa Rica is a great place to go with students because it's relatively close and in the same time zone. It's safe, and you do have this diversity of habitats. So we started by going to a place right on the Pacific coast, so some mangrove forests. Then we went into the lowland hills, so not fully montane yet, but you get some very different things from what we saw at the first place. We went higher to about 9,000 feet to a cloud forest, which is a really, really unique experience, before finally dropping down to, again, near sea level at La Selva Field Station, which is a pretty famous place. It's truly tropical rainforest, so what you would imagine if somebody said, I'm going to the jungle. And that location has just incredible biodiversity.
So my name is Joshua Moeller. I am a junior. I study biology and ACMS, double major, and I live in Morrissey Hall. I had never experienced anything like that. That was probably the best thing about going to Costa Rica, was like all the biological rules for me were broken. Like I grew up with woods behind my house, and I spent a ton of time in it, and I can identify like a good number of native species, or at least I know what to expect when I go out in the woods. But when you go out in Costa Rica, you can turn around and there'll be like a spider the size of like a small dinner plate, or there's just a poison dart frog right next to you. Like you can just walk out into your living room and there'll be a gecko. Like all these things that I would never have thought I would see just wandering around just surprised me.
Okay. My name is Sophia Daly. I'm a senior, and I'm in Baden Hall. I've been there all 4 years, and my major is science pre-professional studies, and I'm pre-vet. I think I just really loved being able to interact with the animals and really like see them in the wild. I think my favorite part was like either early in the morning or late at night, just going out there with the Merlin app, which like helps to identify like bird calls and things like that, or like looking with binoculars and just being able to observe the animals in their natural habitat. I think one thing that stood out to me was when we were walking the one time, I just heard like a huge crash, and I was wondering what that was. I was like, we kept going along the path, and then we heard an even larger crash, and we turn around and keep walking back, and we look up and we see a bunch of spider monkeys like hanging from their tail, which was like really, really cool to see in real life, like how strong their prehensile tails are. And I didn't expect to see spider monkeys. We were looking for howler monkeys because you could definitely hear them, but we never saw those ones. But that was just like a surprise to be able to see that.
The students all recalled the wonder of experiencing something so vastly different from their daily lives, and a newly refined appreciation for learning from nature while being careful not to disrupt it.
My name's Ashlyn Kruger. I'm a senior biology major with a minor in earth sciences. I'm from New Providence, New Jersey. It was totally different. That was definitely the farthest south I've been. I've done a bit of field work like around this area, but I've never been anywhere tropical. And just the amount of flora and fauna that was there was just so crazy. I'd never seen anything like it.
Some of Larson's students will translate what they learned in Costa Rica into their future career. All are confident this experience gave them a perspective they'll put to use beyond their time at Notre Dame. And for Larson herself, it was a new opportunity to see the field of study she's loved for so long with a fresh perspective.
It was very amazing, especially to see things through their eyes. So none of the students had been to a tropical environment before. At this point, I've spent years of my life in these environments. So a lot of things just seem routine and just go beyond my notice now. To them, everything is new and novel. And so it's a really wonderful experience to experience that first-time joy and awe again through these people who haven't been there before. I really wanted students to understand what it would be like to work in those kinds of environments, first of all, and that logistically it's a lot different than doing field research say, around the Notre Dame campus. You need a lot more help, just simply because the environment's more complex. And so you need to think about forming successful and meaningful collaborations with local researchers or local, just people who live locally, and think about what that means. That what is going to benefit them might be different than what you think would benefit them, and not going in and saying, all right, this is how this is going to work, but have an open conversation to form those truly meaningful and successful collaborations that are beneficial in both directions.
Thanks for listening to ND Works, a podcast for the Notre Dame campus community, produced by the Office of Internal Communications. We're the team that brings you ND Works Weekly, ND Works Quarterly, The Week at ND, and a passion for sharing clear, concise, and interesting information with faculty and staff. You can listen to previous episodes of this podcast at ndworks.nd.edu or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode was edited by Michael Weens, with a special thanks to the College of Science. I'm your host, Jenna Liberto. Thanks for listening.